If we're okay on time, I'd love to ask you about 3 other songs.
Go ahead.
Genuine's Frozen.
Frozen.
Yeah.
That was done in St. Louis. It was the second time I actually went to St. Louis, and the first time I actually went to St. Louis to work. And we did it with these songwriters named Woodworks out of L.A. One of the rare times we actually didn't do a record with Jonte or Adonis. It was with the Woodworks, and they're super talented songwriters out of LA, all relatives, brothers and cousins, and they came in with the concept of being, frozen over. Brian and I did the track, and we knew it had to have some sense of a bite to it, because with that title Frozen, it gives you kind of a hollowness, it gives you kind of a bitterness. So the track needed to have some sense of a bite to it, and I think we were able to sonically accomplish that to complement what was written on top, and vice versa. So Genuine cut the record. I think he did a marvelous job, and it came out on his album in February, I believe, is when he released his album. Unfortunately, I thought it was going to be a single. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it hasn't yet, but it still has a chance. I think it's a great song.
Yeah, definitely, man. Actually, that's another one of my favorites off his album.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next one I want to ask you about, because you've done a lot of records with Joe, so I think you produced My Love, right?
Yeah, Brian and I did that together. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that one.
And Greg Curtis, I believe, is also on that record. We did that record in Atlanta at Zach Studios. And Greg Curtis is actually on that record. He actually laid the piano line, if I'm not mistaken. And Brian and I came together and just made it, a full record. We enjoy working with Joe. I enjoy working with Joe. I think he's a phenomenal singer. Jonte Austin was the writer on that record. He's been working with Joe for years. So his ability to kind of capture that Joe moment is unmatched to me, and it's just accurate. So he was able to do that. Joe got in the booth. All Joe needs is, I'm not gonna give Joe's ritual away, but he doesn't need much to get in there and really knock it out. Joe is probably the most accurate singer I've ever heard, in terms of stacking vocals, in terms of being on pitch without assistance of auto-tune. Like, he is incredible at that. So it doesn't take him long to knock down a song. And that's part of the reason why we did so many songs with Joe. Is because he's in and out. In a couple hours, he's done. What's up? What you got next? So that was a great experience in doing that record. And like I said, it was the way he works and the way we were able to work, with him allowed us to do numerous songs.
Okay. Now, the last one I want to ask you about is Usher's Before I Met You.
Okay.
Yep.
Before I Met You was another combination of myself, Brian, and Jonte. Brian and I did the track, and Jonte came over and heard the track and was immediately inspired to write a song that was reflective of Usher's past life, but at the same time where he is now, or where he was at the time. Mm-hmm. Once again, writing real records for artists. And Usher's past life being, he was a hustler, he was a player before he met the one that changed his life, before he met you. You know what I mean? So we wanted to make a song that was reflective of where he was at the time, being a married man and committed to a family life. And I think we effectively did that. Usher loved the record. He cut it immediately, and the rest is history.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, you've already worked with some of the biggest names in R&B. Some of the artists I've already mentioned, plus, Toni Braxton, Mary J. Blige, and all of these great artists, Is there someone that you're still hoping to work with, or is there someone that you want to work with again?
Yeah, yes, and yes.
Okay.
There are a lot of people. I mean, if I could work with every artist that I've ever worked with again, I would.
Okay.
Because I'm a perfectionist, so I always feel like there's room for improvement. In particular reflective on my end, as a producer. So every artist that I've worked with, I would like to get a shot again.
Okay.
Whether it's been projects that I've worked on that haven't been released or didn't make, or projects that I've had hit records with, I would love to work with them again. because I feel like I'm at a different level as a producer. I'm at a different level as a musician and understanding what a hit record really is, and as opposed to it just happening just because of God's gift. And I just get lucky, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I feel like I know how to drive the car, and then just getting in the car and having, no other cars on the road to interrupt me. So now I can bob and weave. So, but any artist that other artists that I haven't worked with, or artists that I haven't worked with that I would love to work with, include but not limited to Carrie Underwood, Adele, CeCe Winans, Babyface, hands down. Like that's my mentor, if you ask me.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody. I think I'm the biggest Babyface fan. I almost want to call myself Babyface Jr. like Wade called himself Birdman Jr. I'm Babyface Jr. I've met Face a couple of times, but we've never actually gotten in the studio. But that'll be a dream come true. Even if it's just to say thank you and shake his hand and leave. Yeah. That's well worth it, because what he's done for music overall, not even just R&B music, is untouched. There's no one like him. You know what I mean? Not even just as an artist, as a songwriter, as a musician, as a producer. There's no one like Babyface. Yeah. And he was so versatile and had the ability to create hit records, not only for urban acts or R&B acts, but also the biggest pop stars in the world. So, and country. So for me, that's like the bar. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to be known as an eclectic, a very versatile, you want to use the word ambidextrous producer. You know what I mean? But at the same time, very effective and operating at a very high level in each one of the genres. Because I don't want to just do it to say I can do this or I can do that. I want to be able to do it and be like, I can make a difference at doing this and doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, just one last question for you, and that is, how can the fans contact you and find out more about you?
Of course, my Twitter account is Kendrick Dean. Then I have a Blaze Track page. If you want to, if you're a songwriter, you're a producer, you want to be able to send me some stuff for me to listen to and get an opportunity actually to possibly work alongside me and some of the great artists that I've been blessed to work with, go to blazetrack.com, BLAZETRK.com/Wyldcard, WYLDCARD, and you'll get right on my page. You'll be able to get an intro from me, a video intro, and if you have some work, you'll be able to submit it to me. And not only that, I would actually guarantee you a video reply, a video response of your music. So it's not like you're sending it random and no one listens to it. I'm listening to it and I'm evaluating it. So I think that's a good opportunity for fans, not just fans, of course, but people that aspire to do this. And it's an outlet that I didn't have coming up and I would have loved. And I love to give the opportunity to others. So those are two ways to reach me. And of course, KendrickDean.com is in construction right now. So definitely bookmark that site. It has a save page right now, so you can go on KendrickDean.com and find out anything that's going on with me, from my adventures in the music business and my other adventures outside of music. So those are all three good sources to reach me and contact me and let me hear from you. Let me hear your thoughts about some of the records that I've done. Any opinions, any artists that you feel like I should work with, or I should do a song like this or whatever. I'm open to all of that, and I appreciate that from the fans. It's always, for me, it's always kind of like weird to think that I got fans. Like I'm just a regular old, I'm just down to earth like that. You know what I mean? And I think we all are on a journey together, and we're all learning. I feel like every day is a learning experience for me. No mountain high enough that I've conquered that I feel like I'm on top of the world. I still feel like I'm grinding and still ascending up top, and that'll never change. That fire will never change. No matter how many hit or number one records that I've had, my humility, I believe, will remain the same. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, for sure, man. And we're definitely going to put all the links on the site and, let people know, where to visit. Those were all the questions that I had prepared. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, I mean, I definitely want when you have an opportunity like this to speak to the masses.
Yep.
You definitely want to be able to impart some knowledge and some words of wisdom and encouragement to people, because I know a lot of people are out here with a dream and they desperately desire to do this and they feel like they have a gift. My advice to them is to continue the faith and find your God center. You know, get a relationship with God and be faithful to it and faithful to Him. And he'll lead you in the right direction. Be real with yourself. Have a realistic goal. You know, at the end of the day, we all believe that our stuff don't stink, but we got to be able to open our nose and smell for ourselves to be able to go to the next level. So, you know, it's just a realistic approach about your talent, your gift, and planning. I think people undermine so much what planning actually really does and what the significance of it is, and actually having a game plan and writing things out and making a vision board. You have to do it. You must do it, because that's the thing that keeps you on course on your off days. The plan, you know, I don't feel like doing it. Well, look at the plan. Okay, well, I need to practice the piano. You know, I need to learn an instrument. If you're a songwriter, you should at least be taking piano lessons or guitar lessons. And I just feel strongly about that, because as also a fellow songwriter, I feel my background in playing piano and other instruments has significantly helped me, not only as a producer or a musician, but as a songwriter, because I understand melody, I understand transition, I understand harmony and all that stuff through, you know, knowing how to play an instrument. So, you know, keep God first, be organized and be realistic, and never feel like you made it. You know, always be hungry, always take advice, and always be willing to learn, and always listen, man. Listen to what's out there. You know, whether it be what's out there now. If you don't like what's out there now, there's no way you can tell me you haven't liked what was out there before, because those are the classics. You know, I usually tend to recommend Babyface, of course, Diane Warren, which is another person who I've worked with who's incredibly phenomenal, genius. David Foster, Burt Bacharach, Lionel Richie, people like that, Stevie Wonder, Prince, Michael Jackson. Those people, Quincy Jones, are pioneers of music, and I feel like you can't study them enough. I'm constantly studying, and if to someone else I've made it and I'm constantly studying, then they need to constantly study too.
Definitely, man. Thanks so much, Kendrick. You know, great interview, and you know, we look forward to, you know, hearing whatever you have coming up.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity, and I definitely am eager and excited about everything that's happening, and I definitely keep you guys posted.
For sure, man.